one. This is the Bridge Book Club Projectiology. So this first part of the meeting will be registered just to let everyone know. But the other parts, that discussion and other parts, will not be registered. That part will be registered, so in order that other people that is not here today can watch. So sometimes people cannot attend the meeting, but they can at least go there in our page and web page and watch, or even in the YouTube channel, okay? So the meeting will be divided in three parts. This first part, we are gonna present our work, how it's gonna operate, how is this Bridge Book Club will be. So we are gonna also present the book a little bit and the work we are gonna do. And the second part, we are gonna do a group interaction. So we are gonna have time to interact. And in the third part, we are gonna talk about projection techniques, okay? So we are gonna start by presenting our team, the team, volunteer team. So can you change the page, or I can change? I don't think so. Please change the slides there. Can you go to the next page? Michiko, is you? Please change. Renato? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, someone that is just changing. So that is our volunteer team. So first we can see Kim, that is one of the coordinators, me, Michiko. Then we are the coordinations, Renato, me, and Michiko of this book club. And then we see Renato and Miriam with a nice dog there, that are the marketing team, this marketing that is going on, all the marketing they are responsible. So Tatiana, that is our revising for our material. So João and Silvana, that's also here today, they are our support. They do lots of things to help us. Then there is the technical team, that is Renato, Fernandez, and Jeff, and also Michiko. Michiko has this technology thing too. So that's our team. So first of all, we are starting with a question. So I'll pass to Michiko, and Michiko can explain this, what we are gonna do now.
Yeah, so we would like to hear from all of you. So we're going to do a quick live poll or survey of 3 questions about what we're going to talk about today. And you can either participate by clicking on the link in the chat box, we'll put it there, or by using your mobile phone camera, and you can scan the QR code on the screen. So let's just give people a minute to join the poll.
I just tried copying it into the chat, but I could not, the link. I don't know if somebody can put the link in the chat.
Oh, sure. Okay, does everyone have the link there? Okay, so the first question, have you ever had an out-of-body experience? So if you could just vote yes, no, or if you're not sure. Wow, so that's great. 95.24% have had some type of out-of-body experience. And a few people may have, and they're not sure, so that's great. Okay, so the next
couldn't
question.
link.
Oh, sorry, somebody couldn't.
Renato was saying he couldn't get into it, I think.
Okay, that's all right. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties.
It's normal. Sure.
Yeah, let's try again.
It's our first time trying to do the pool. Really nice.
Yeah. All right. So the second one is, have you ever used a technique to have an out-of-body experience? That's great. So 80.95% have used a technique and about 20% have not. So that would be really interesting to share a little bit later. And we're also going to share some techniques that we can all try as well. Okay. And let's try this one. Do you keep a record or take note of your OBEs? So do you keep a type of diary, or do you just take notes of the experience?
Definitely need a sometimes here, but anyway.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I was going to mention.
We'll keep that in mind next time. All right, so let's look at the
Or
results.
the answer sometimes should be there. Yeah, sometimes yes, sometimes not.
Yes. Great. So about little over half do take some kind of notes sometimes. Very good. Okay, great. So go back
great.
to.
Okay, so we are gonna use that as to research, and also we are gonna put in some place to you to see. And people that is not participating today, they can still vote. So that's great because it's stay there and people can vote and we can have this view. So now talking about the Bridge Book Club. For those that does not know the Bridge Book Club, that haven't participated to any of our activities, I'm gonna explain a little bit about our work. So the Bridge Book Club is part of the Bridge. The Bridge is it's a series of activities that is it's offered by Isaac, that is an interassistation service for internalization of Conscientiology. So for those who doesn't know what is Conscientiology, Conscientiology is a science, is not a conventional science, because it's a science to study the mind, the consciousness, our consciousness, beyond our physical body, so beyond our material world. So we study the consciousness as whole, you know, integrate. So that's it. Also, like projection is not studied by conventional science. So we do this research with methods to try to understand more and also live that experience projection. So that's it. My part, I will ask Kim to come up to explain our paradigm, the paradigm.
Yeah, and still sticking with the previous slide. I'm not sure at this stage. My sense is that probably the majority of people here are, you know, existing researchers or students of Conscientiology. But in case there are any, you know, anybody who's new to it, it's important to understand the paradigm that we use here. And when we talk about the paradigm, it's the reference sort of point of the world, of aspects of reality that underpin the way we approach consciousness and the way we try and understand ourselves as individual beings. And the important part of the consciential paradigm is that it considers this body to be just one of several bodies that we have. It considers us to be existing in multiple dimensions. So when we're looking for self, we're not looking for it in the brain, we're looking for it beyond the physical dimension. And we also take for granted that we live more than one life, that consciousness does not die, and that we evolve across lifetimes. So this is obviously things that a lot of people don't take for granted, and even people who are open to these possibilities still are often very, very hesitant to accept, just simply, you know, to accept that we have these different attributes that I've just named. But in the conscientiological perspective, they have all been established, and this is the foundation from which we understand the out-of-body experience. Yeah, I think now we can go to the next slide. So basically, this is really just a book club, right? It's a beautifully international book club. It'd be great to see where everybody's from, actually. And I don't know that we have a place for that. Maybe people could just put in the chat just where they are. Actually, that would be quite nice to see where everybody's based who's here today. But we're all coming together to read and discuss. I don't know, our people aren't really seeing this single slide, but to discuss the big blue book, Waldo's book, Projectiology. This is not a class. This is not a course. We're not, you know, it's not a workshop. We're all reading in our own time, and we come together to discuss the ideas and to help each other go deeper and encourage each other also, I guess, to pursue our experiences. And so this quote from the book, this is a strictly technical work, the scope of which is to research a serious and specialized subject as proposed and defined in the title and subtitle. Its objective is to share information with the scientific community and those interested in the topic. So it's not a light book club, you know, we're not going to be sitting here drinking wine and eating nibbles. Like, this is you know, we're here to study and to really use our mental soma.
Sorry, everyone, I'm
So
having a
Michiko.
bit of technical difficulties with PowerPoint, so I have to toggle back in between screens. But just to add what Kim was talking about, because the paradigm is based on a scientific approach, in the spirit of science, you know, it's all about experimenting. And in this case, because we're dealing with self-research, it's about experimenting for yourself and having your own experiences. So one of the principles that is a big part of the paradigm of the consciential paradigm is what we call the principle of disbelief. And what that says is, do not believe in anything, not even in what is presented here or what you're reading or what you're hearing here. Experiment and have your own experiences. So we really invite all of you to have your own opinions, debate the topics, have your own experiences, and don't just take anything that you see or hear as truth, because it's not. It's important that you have your own experiences, okay? Okay. So Renato's just going to share his screen as I'm having some issues.
Yes, give me just 1 second. I'm sharing it now. There you go. I hope you guys are seeing it now.
Yes, we can. Okay, so just going on to the next slide. So just to let everybody know that this Bridge Book Club is an open and free activity. And as you know, we're going to have a meeting like this every third Saturday of the month. And you can register on the site, on the website, and we have the link there. On the website, we also have various materials available. So we have an electronic version of the book that you can download. So hopefully you've all been able to do that already if you don't already have the book. We have a student progress tracking Excel spreadsheet. For those of you that like to keep track of the chapters that you're reading, it's also good to kind of gauge where you are in terms of how much time you have to read, because it is a big book and we are going to spread this across a year for the first half. It's nice to be able to track your progress, but also to take notes as you're reading. Okay, and we'll talk about the discussion forum a little later. There's also other resources there about the vibrational state, a little bit about energy work. There's the bridge, the links to all of the recordings. So as Magali mentioned, we are recording every session so that people from around the world who can't attend the meetings can watch them later. And also we have a projective diary, which we'll talk a little bit about later. When you register on the website, you'll have access to the discussion forum, and that's where we can continue our discussion after the meetings and to interact with the people who can't come to the meetings. So please put your questions, and it's going to be monitored by the facilitators and the coordinators. And we can also share our experiences as we're reading and studying the chapters. We've set up, for those who use WhatsApp, it's a mobile phone application where we're going to be broadcasting any news or any announcements. But you can also use it if you have any questions relating to the technical tools or any other administrative questions. We would like to encourage people not to use it to discuss the book, because not everybody will be accessing WhatsApp. So please use the discussion forum to discuss anything about the chapters. However, you can use the WhatsApp group for any other questions. We also have an email for the book club. And then again, our online meetings will be every third Saturday of the month. So next slide.
So that's me, Michiko?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. So Projectiology. Now we are going to talk about the book. So the book we are going to read is Projectiology. We call it a treatise, no? I think it's in English. And so because it's a really heavy book, so we have the PDF. Some people can have the book, but it's difficult, I think, to find now. So the book, the author is Professor Waldo Vieira. And this book, he took 19 years with the whole researcher that Kim will talk later, that he did about with several resources, and about the phenomena of projectiology, or out-body experience, or astral projection, or projection of consciousness. So the book was the first edition in Portuguese. Was launched in 1986, but the edition in English is 2002, and we have the edition in PDF that is from 2016. So you see that we are going to talk about chapters and sections. Each section, we have 18 sections. you see the section has always the Roman numeral, and the chapters will be Arabic numerals. So we have 525 chapters to read. So 120 pages. So a lots of reference, and 66 chapters is exclusively address projective techniques. So the book is, as we said, is really to those that want to really study projection. Okay. So yes, Renato can be the next one. Thank you. So our challenge during this work, we have 3 challenges here. The first one is to read the theory 40 pages more or less per month. So it's not a small page, you see it's a big page with small letters. So it's not so easy. So I just want to say to everyone, if you want, someone has any question, please raise your hands. You have in reaction here. You can raise hands and just jump in and talk. Maybe you have some question during our presentation. Don't be shy, just just stop and we can address the question. So the second challenge is apply projection techniques, because theory is good, but also the experience is really important. So we are going to apply the techniques. We are going to try to apply 2 techniques per month, okay? And the third, that is the, we saw by the poll that is the most difficult to all of us, that is registered every projected experience. And that is really important because our memory gets better. When you start to register, your memory starts to be better. That's, I talk by my experience and the experience of people that also which share with me. So we have a projective diary and is available for you. We created that, and there is some informations. So we ask you to look at this information. It's really important. Is the resume that we think is important to you to have. That is the 3 challenge. So next one.
All right, so this is just an overview of the topics and the presenters, so the facilitators really, of the discussions each month. If you haven't already done it, I'd encourage you to put the dates in your diary, check the times, you know, because there might be some people have time shifts over the year. And obviously the presentation follow in sequence the book. So as you can see this, we're going through the chapters, and the presenters are really a great variety of people with who've got long-term history of studying conscientiology and projectiology. And just sort of an overview, there's a good mix also of people from different parts of the world. So a few of us in Australia, Brazil, and various places of Europe. There are Romania, I think Germany, yep. Yeah, so I think it's nice to have the variety as well, because each time there'll be a different flavor. We all come with our own particular sort of areas of interest. And I think there's been some sort of thought put into that, into having people present to or speak to areas that they're particularly interested in. And we all probably bring slightly different angles to the way we interpret or work with Waldo. All right, and the next slide. So now just briefly touching at some of the key points of the introduction to the Projectiology book. So probably again, I think most of you are very familiar with the book, but if some of you are new to it, it can be, quite daunting because it is really large. It's not the size of book that we're normally used to working our way through. And I think it's good to understand, though, the richness that it offers us. And so it is such an in-depth exploration of the out-of-body experience, looking at angles that many people wouldn't even think about in terms of the impacts of the experience on different areas of human endeavor, science, innovation, philosophical changes that it calls us to consider, as well as really going into the nuances of so many of the different aspects of the experience, and the innumerable techniques that it offers and so on. And I think it's good to really understand that already. I think Margalia spoke to the duration, the time that went into preparing it. And it really draws on this wide variety. So it really draws on experimentation. It's not a theoretical book. It's drawn on a lot of practice. But unlike there's a lot of other OBE books that deal with a lot of practice, but they don't necessarily have the same depth of theory. So it really combines both of those aspects. And in preparing the book, Dr. Vieira drew on his own projections, his own out-of-body experiences, discussions with many other people. He was surrounded for many years by people who also had a lot of out-of-body experiences, and people would be going, having regular meetings and debates and discussions. He was prolifically sort of connected to different organizations, the Society for Psychical Research, for example, in both the UK and in the American version, and all manner of other research organizations. He would visit, he traveled quite a lot, and he visited organizations and research bodies in Europe and in the US, and he spoke to other researchers. And he also drew on his conversations with extraphysical consciousnesses. So including extraphysical consciousnesses who, prior to their death, their desoma, their loss of their physical body, had been very active projectors in their previous life, and would discuss their experiences and understandings with him. And I guess the other thing that is a really big part of Waldo Vieira's work is that it was never really complete. So the Projectiology that was originally written in 1988 was substantially revised in I believe it came out in 98 or 99, 98, I think. And had he lived for another, longer, he probably would have gone and revised it again. I mean, all his future works were the kind of works that just kept evolving. So it is, it draws on a lot of understanding that keeps growing. All right, next slide.
So the author mentioned several objectives of this book that we thought was pretty important to point out. This book is meant to be a guide. So for those just starting out or learning about these topics, it's a really good introductory guide because it explains a lot of things with a lot of detail, and it brings in a lot of research and personal experiences of the author, as well as of the people who contributed to this book. It's also a very systematized way of organizing all of the findings from the research that has done in the experimental field. So people who have had projective experiences and contributed to the research, contributed to this, this work, and it's all organized in this treatise, so which is nice. All the work has been done for us, really. Not all, but a lot of the work has been done for us in this one volume. It also provides answers to questions to projectors. It's really interesting because a lot of times when we're having these experiences, we don't necessarily know who we can speak to about them. And that's exactly what this treatise has done. It's consolidated a lot of the common questions, a lot of the common phenomenon and experiences that projectors have, and then, you know, provides it in this book. It also proposes new questions, because as you all know, when you start to research something very deeply, it brings up new questions, right? The more questions that are answered, the more questions you seem to have. So you'll notice that interesting aspect of when you're studying this book. The other interesting objective is to provide data to study the subject. So really the goal of the book, one of the objectives was to not only consolidate all of the information and the data, but in the spirit of sharing with the scientific community, you know, with other researchers who want to contribute and who want to participate in this subject. And then it's a poll of everything related to books, to writing, to books, to reading. And it has a very extensive bibliography that you will notice at the end of the book. And it consolidates all of this information into this treatise. So those are the 6 objectives of the book that we thought were important to point out. So next slide, please. And when we're talking about research, there is a Center for Higher Studies of the Consciousness. It's also known as CIEC in Brazil. And at this place, there is a holoteca, which is, I wouldn't call it a library, just a library or just a museum. It's really a collection of artifacts of knowledge. So you'll find books, you'll find journals, you'll find artifacts, exhibits, all kinds of information, basically 52,000 volumes as of 2002 when this last edition was released, items on these specialized subjects. So it's really a great resource, and I think Kim can share his personal experience of visiting the center and the holoteca as he was developing his research as well.
Yeah, so because all of Dr. Vieira's books have ended up at the CIEC, the Center for Higher Studies of Consciousness, basically I was doing some research on para-teleportation, which is one of the phenomena discussed in projectiology. And at the end of each chapter, certainly where there is a particular focus of a phenomena, Dr. Vieira gave all the references that he used for that particular phenomena. So I went there and just perused, asked for all the items that he'd used for that particular topic. So it's incredibly valuable. It's very interesting also to kind of then analyze how that data was used and summarized in projectiology. But that's really, if you're really a research nerd, then it's really kind of probably one of the best places in the world, I think. I'm not sure if there's other libraries like that for this topic. All right, next slide, I think.
Okay, this is me. It's about the effort that in this part, the author talks, the effort that he did to do this work, like the work is doing in a way that is for new students of lucid projection to have information to get by themselves a projection. So the effort that he did was to stick with science, focusing in this science side to get facts about projection. And he knows that the projection, even a book like that, there is no all the knowledge in it. So there is much more to us to explore in this projection, in this out-body experience. So this book, it's not the truth. It's not the end of the thing. It's just the beginning. And the search that he did, he exposed his studies, his hypotheses, and is to us to analyze, discuss, and also refuse. So the scope was to clarify more this theme that exists since now the human exists. That theme is not a projection of consciousness, is not a theme from now. It comes with us since we start in this earth. So we have so many things from Egypt, so many things from Asian people, no? So he wants to clarify and structure data from the subject, from projection of consciousness. Next slide.
Yeah, so we're sort of running out of time, so I'll probably just make one point from this slide in particular, and that is the recommendation that if we want to understand the projection of consciousness, we really pursue our own experiences. So I think that would be a great goal I certainly know that that's one of the goals that I'm going to set myself for reading this book through as part of this book club now, to commit myself to regular practice towards OBEs and developing my own practice.
So
yeah. I think we just need to go through. Do you want to add something, Margalit?
yeah, just one thing about flexibility, because as we are going to do the work, sometimes 40-page, it's for some people that is the first time. Some people can have a trouble of reading all the chapters. So I think this flexibility that is here, that is the chapters, can be read, the section alone, and it makes sense. So also the chapters. So don't stop yourself if you cannot read the whole book, but just 1, 2, 3 chapters. You know, it's important. Choose your chapters and read it. Just that.
Yeah, really important point. Yeah, each chapter is like its own essay, really, its own self-contained essay. So you can just go to the topics that really grab you. Yeah. Next slide.
So we just wanted to point out one thing really quickly. You'll notice as you're reading the book that you're going to come across a lot of terms that may be new to you. And it can be a little bit challenging. So imagine when you start studying mathematics for the first time, for example, or you study something in the medical field, you know, you have to learn all of the new terminology. And so it can be quite challenging. So because this book was written with a scientific-based approach, it was often necessary to create new terms for new concepts and new ideas, or for existing ideas that already had a different connotation. So, you know, they may have a religious or mystical connotation, and to kind of distance away from that connotation, a new word, a new term was created. So some people may find this a little bit challenging, but we do have it's interesting because the way that neologisms were structured is that it was very logical. So you'll find that as you start to get to know these new terms, they start to make real logical sense. For example, we have thosine, and that's made of the words thoughts, sentiments, and energy. You know, extra physical means beyond the physical, beyond what we can see here with our 5 senses. So yeah, it is difficult, but we also have references such as the glossary at the end of the book Projectiology. There is also a glossary of essential conscientiology terms, which defines all of the terms as well as translates it between English and Portuguese. But you can also post a question to the discussion forum or reach out to us via email. If you have any questions at all, or if you need some assistance with some of the terminology. So next slide, please.
Okay. Now, if anyone has a question, we are going to pass to the second part of our job. And from now on, we are not going to record anymore. So feel free to talk. We just have the first part, that is the presentation, to everyone that is not in the meeting, that they can watch and then it's work anyway. So good. Anyone have any question, anything that we can help with, or we can carry on?
As Magali had mentioned, every month we're going to propose 2 techniques that we can study together as a group and put into practice, right? Because we're aiming not only for the theory, as Magali said, but the practice as well. This is very important. And don't forget to take note of the experiences that you're going to experience, no doubt, over the course of the month. So the 2 techniques that we're going to be focusing on were selected because they kind of will set us up. You know, they are not too intense or advanced. We can all do it. We can all participate, even if you are just starting out. So we recommend that you refer to the page 432 and the chapters, and that you read thoroughly the 2 techniques. If you have any questions, post it in the forum or email us if you have any doubts about the techniques. But if not, the idea is to read about it and just put it into practice. And then our next meeting, we would like to come together and share our experiences, and no doubt we'll have a lot of experiences to share for sure.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions or anything to add, Magali, Kim?
Yes, I have something about the UC. I don't know if you can share, Michiko, because we have a little time. So if you can share our projective diary, because in the projective diary, we select 24 techniques that is possible to use, because some techniques is difficult to do in a group, so even alone. So some techniques we took it out. So we stayed with 24 techniques that you're gonna see there. So the first technique we have choose. So the next ones we want to be a vote. Maybe we vote which techniques we want. We'll see which way we can do this vote, but because we are gonna have 2 per month, so the idea is the first 15 days we use the first technique, and the second 15 days we use the second technique. So we start by the easiest technique, because there is people that have ever used a technique. So we start with the first ones. Now, the first one is psychophysiologic self-relaxation technique. That is really easy, that we can achieve this alpha state. And the second one is this about breathing. That is easier way of relax and let our bodies starts to move. So for those that is new here and it's the first time that is getting in touch with the ideas. There is courses, because here we are not gonna work with energies, no? And so there is courses, the IIPC, that we are gonna put also in our site, and there is several courses that you can also see in the Isaac page. You can see the institution that give courses, that if you need to know, you want to know more or learn about energies work, here we are gonna resume each month the chapters. So it's just a synthesis of chapters. It's gonna have always a presentation and you can ask questions. But for more, like if someone is interested in go profound, there is the IPC that does course in projection, and there is other ICs that give courses in energetic things, energetic works, right? So here is our projective diary. And so just go to the techniques, Michiko. There is the information, yeah. So here you have the page. Those pages, we advise you to read a little bit to, you know, to apply the technique. That's it. So Michiko, Kim?
No, the only other thing I'd say, I mean, I think we've made this point already, but just in terms of where you find this, on the Bridge Book Club page, right, you get access to all these, to the document, to this document, and also to the forum, right? And I had a quick look at the forum, and there isn't actually an obvious place, for example, to ask a question about your out-of-body experience, right? To discuss your out-of-body experience. So I don't know if maybe we should work out where that can be, and then let people know whether we create a sub-thread or something to just discuss. I have questions about techniques and questions about experiences.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. So we'll create a section for that, a topic for that, and then everybody can go in and post their general questions as well.
Also, who is in the WhatsApp, we can send the projection diary there too, right?
Yes.
So I wonder if
guys,
people have any questions about the technical. I suppose I just wanted to check whether everybody feels comfortable about, you know, how to join the WhatsApp group, if that's what they want to do, and how to find the forum. And if not, maybe, you know, you could ask now, or put a question in the chat and we can answer it.
Yeah, I wonder if it's worth it to share like the website, access the website, and maybe share the screen and show where to log in and where to post the questions and everything. I believe, let me turn my camera on, sorry guys. I believe that once you are in the website, you can also download the calendar and add to your calendar. So when there is an event coming up, you have the notification in your calendar, if I'm not wrong, Lo. So it might be worth it to share this information with the group.
And there is a question here from Mary. No, how can I join the WhatsApp group, please? So in order to join the WhatsApp, everyone have to register themselves in the site, no? And then they are gonna receive an email, that's right, Michiko? And then they can answer that email with the phone. So Michiko is going to show us now.
Yeah, so this is the main site. And then if there's several ways. So you can click on the most recent post where we have posted all of the links that you need. So if you need a copy of the Projectiology, this is the same email that you will receive when you register for the site. And here where it says, finally, we invite you to join our WhatsApp group, there is a link there. Or you can email us at bookclub@easycons.org and we can add you to the WhatsApp group. You can also go directly to our Projectiology page where you can either access the forum from the menu, or you can go to the page and access the discussion forum from these links. You can also access all of the recordings that'll be posted to YouTube as well, but they will be here for easy access. Okay, so everything you need is on the site if you just register.
So Fernandez, I think he's going to put the site link here for those that don't have the link. It's all in the publicity, but if it's...
Also, there is the link in the email that you guys sent for the welcome to the Bridge Club. And there is a link there that's just, and then you enter in the group as well.
Yes, thank you, Anna, that's true.
So, any other questions about that, guys? So we can talk about the next meeting, right, Michiko?
So our next meeting will be on the 17th of April, and that will be on the Scientific Foundations of Conscientiology, chapters 1 to 6. And the facilitators will be Tony Moskoff and Ulysses Schassler. So we are reading about 40 pages, which seems like a lot, but if you break it down, it's a matter of maybe a little over 1 page per day. So we suggest, if you can, dedicate maybe an hour every day to just read through 1 to 2 pages, and that'll keep you on track. Oh, so yeah, I think that's it. Thank you everybody for your questions and your comments. And we look forward to seeing you next month and seeing you in the discussion forum as well. Thanks everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks a lot.
guys. See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.